there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com, here with continuing my top 10 list of cards I want to brew around for Magic Origins. Coming in at number 4 was the Starfield of Nyx. However, this is going to suffer from my 5-3 as well. I mean, I missed the mark, but it was also right on the mark. What I mean by that is usually cards that I pick for the top 10 list are just cards that I specifically want to rogue strategies around, so they need to be playable. But I didn't expect the ones on the list that I picked to be that playable. So number 8, 7, 6, and 5 all had some pretty decent showings at the Pro Tour Magic Origins, as well as the continuation Grand Prix San Diego. Now, this particular card, Starfield of Nyx, was utilized in a green-white enchantment deck. So this is not my deck. This is a deck, again, that did very well at Pro Tour Magic Origins, and has had some great showings since then. And it has two finishers in the form of the Starfield of Nyx, which will start returning back enchantments and actually making your enchantments be able to swing in, and the Sigil of the Empty Throne. However, this particular deck, Starfield of Nyx, is the iffy card, because what ends up happening is this clause here: as long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its types. That can be very risky with Banishing Lights and Silk Wraps, as it gives them easy ways to be destroyed, and then they can get back whatever you've put underneath them. So be very, very careful with this Starfield of Nyx. In fact, after playing this deck a lot, I think that these are more of a sideboard card than a mainboard card, but they're definitely key to this strategy. They're what get you really against like control or mid-range. It's the Starfield that when they start destroying your early threats, you can start getting them back, especially the Sigil of the Empty Thrones, because you do need this card to act as your finisher. Now let's just go over the deck tech. I played this on Playing on a Budget, so you can go and check out that deck tech and all the matches. Ended up going 5-0 for the Gathering Magic series. But this one's going to play the 4 Windswept Heaths, puts us above the $100 budget, as well as an additional copy of the Starfield of Nyx. But everything else is going to be basically the exact same list. How this deck functions is you try to either get out early threats with the Herald of the Pantheon, which also allows you to gain life. If you go Herald into Herald, you can actually get out a Sigil and cast an enchantment on turn 4, which is incredibly strong in the format to have a 4/4 flying, and then any other enchantment you cast after that to continue to get you value. The control is in the form of Silk Wraps and Banishing Lights. Be very careful with the Starfield of Nyx. There are 2 cards that completely shut down this deck. One is going to be Back to Nature. The other one is going to be Tragic Arrogance. I'd also like to put Perilous Vault and Ugin in the cards that this deck has quite a bit of trouble dealing with. So keep that in mind. It is a glass cannon deck that can be shut down with a select few cards. Abzan has started to run at least 1 Tragic Arrogance, same with Jeskai, because this deck is very problematic. But the 5-0 finish for Gathering Magic and the success I've had with it in just playing an MTG has proven to me this is a powerhouse deck. So you're going to get out early stabilization again through the Pantheon and Nyx Fleece Ram. Couple that with Silk Wraps and Banishing Lights, you can control any permanent on the board with this combination. Now onto the card draw spells, you have Eidolon of Blossoms, as well as Courser of Crufix, which is, you can consider this card draw, because with 25 lands, you're going to find lands off the top that will make you avoid drawing them in the future. Also gets you that pivotal 1 life gain. And the Crufix Insight is just such a powerful card in this deck, because everything but the other Crufix Insight lands and Herald of the Pantheon are going to be enchantments. You often find 3 enchantments with the Crufix's Insight. It feels like Green's version of Treasure Cruise in this deck, and it helps dig for the Sigil of the Empty Throne. Now, speaking of which, the deck does need this to win. You do not win without the Angel tokens, so keep that in mind. Languish can be a bit of a setback, but this is a renewable resource with the Sigil of the Empty Thrones. And the great thing about this is when you cast the card, that's all you have to do is cast. It can be countered, and you still get the 4/4. Sideboard is more control through Suspension Fields. Boon Satyrs come in versus control. They're also a great thing to hook up to a 4/4 Angel to make it an 8/6. And Unravel Aether is just Green's version of Stone Rain for the Darksteel Citadel. It can also take care of any problematic artifact or enchantment in the format. But a Darksteel Citadel with Indestructible is not at all affected by Unravel Aether or the Dromika's Command, which makes them sacrifice an enchantment. So they can sacrifice their install Artifact in this case. Tormod's Crypt is against any sort of Treasure Cruiser Dig Through Time deck, or Deathmist Raptor you could bring in. It's pretty versatile right now in the format. Again, I had a lot of success with this deck. It's very straightforward. You're doing the exact same thing every day. Every game, you're trying to get the Sigil of Empty thrown out. The Starfield of Nyx gives you a bit of cushioning, but again, I caution you with the Starfield of Nyx. Oftentimes, when you get this card out, it makes all of your Banishing Lights and Silk Wraps very vulnerable to removal then to get back what was underneath those cards. So often, Starfield Nyx needs to be cut to the sideboard, and then you bring in cards like Dromoka's Command or a Suspension Field to utilize more control. So again, I apologize that this ended up not being a rogue card or a rogue strategy or a rogue deck, but it is kind of cool that most of my picks, the 8 through 4 slots, end up seeing a lot of heavy play in the format. I mean, right off the bat into Pro Tour Origins. So I'm going to play some more decks. I'm going to show you some more games of this deck, and then we'll move on to my next on the list, and hopefully have an original idea or at least some more rogue type strategy with my next card on the list. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.